Pardon me. It was the stand.
Okay, well, I think we're live.
It feels like it.
We'll see if there's anybody that has joined us that can tell us whether or not they hear us, they see us.
Let's see. I'm not seeing the...
It just popped up on mine.
Okay. Whoa.
Oh. Time to order a new phone.
Well, I don't like the new phones are like so much bigger. I want little. I don't want...
They sell one that size. But
Yeah. You can get an old one.
it's an SE.
This is a 7, I think.
Yeah.
And what are they up to, like 12?
They just do it by the year now.
Yeah,
it's
14
like
is getting
21.
ready to come out.
Oh.
Oh, no, maybe that's Samsung. I
It
use
is.
Android, but
He's
yeah.
talking about,
Yeah,
they're up to
iPhone.
14.
Oh, well, Samsung now just does the year. They're tired of the numbers, and they're just like, this is the 2020 model. This is the 2021 model.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does. The 2021 one, there's somebody on, so let us know if you can hear us.
Yes.
Has a creepy camera. You can see, we call it enhance. It's just funny because that's what we do. But David has that newer phone, and we were, in Hawaii in our place in April, and we could mile away, I would say, look into someone else's hotel room and see the people. It was creepy.
Wow, that's a lot of power.
We call it enhance. But like we were in the plane landing, we could see the people on the beach. It was creepy. And that everybody has that out there makes me feel creepy.
Yeah, I don't know if I need that.
Oh, now it's just me again. I don't know.
Ran them off.
Did I scare the one person?
They're like, it's creepy.
Like, phone talk, I'm out of here.
Phone talk. Yikes. Well, anyway. Is anybody out there?
Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves. Let me see.
Out there.
Is anybody out there? I'm going to try to go in a different way here. I'm not getting the... Oh, there was the notification.
And to think, we had things, what we think is right today.
We think it's right. The volume seems right.
We got the right light.
I learned a new
got
trick.
The right light. We got new tricks.
Yeah.
We know what auxiliary 7 is
We
now.
know. Oh, it's 910.
Oh, it's 910.
910.
Auxiliary
Or whatever
10.
Belinda says.
I don't know. 29.
Well, I don't know.
St. Paul's.
52.
I don't know.
know.
Hard to say.
Hike.
My mic. The only problem we had was my mic was not plugged in.
I don't know why
But
that
we
happened.
fixed that.
We are pretty
don't know.
savvy.
I don't know. We're alone.
We're alone. We got nobody with us today?
No,
Did the time change and we weren't aware of it?
I don't think so. It's not quite yet noon, but
Usually we have people on by now.
yeah.
They're like banter. Do we really need banter
We
today?
don't need banter today. They're not feeling our banter today. Genetics.
Actually, my
we've all
friend
got some
Sue
of those.
said, because she attended Sunday school last week,
Oh, yeah.
and she said how she liked how we keep it light.
Oh, well, we try.
Well, wait till you see some of the subjects coming up. And we're going to keep it super light.
We've tackled some tough ones,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they weren't. I mean, the statements I think are just really well written.
Yeah, and I think this one is there's an underlying theme, like most of them have, as far as, we don't really know, but we are called to investigate, and sometimes it may work for this person, it may not work for that person. But do we have any announcements?
Announcements.
So the 24th is Harvest Home Sunday.
Yes, right. Yep. Going
Right,
through the
so-
calendar. Harvest Home.
Pumpkins. And
Bring your canned
foodstuffs.
goods, get a pumpkin. On the 30th is Trunk or Treat.
Yep.
If you want to sponsor a trunk,
And that means come with your car.
come with your
decorate
car
it.
and or you could do
And
just
have
like
some
me
treats
and
to
just
hand out to the kids.
open the tailgate, sit there with your chair, and
You had a whole
Sometimes you can be
fishing
your
theme
own
going
Oh, I
on.
did. I had to.
I wouldn't let him do fire last year.
Yeah, no fire.
He wouldn't
Can
let-
I do fire this year?
No. we're
Even
not
if I put it
doing
away
fire.
from people?
No.
No. Have you seen children running around? They don't
Think of
stay
the
in
children.
between the lines.
They're not.
They're like
They're
moths.
not like moths,
They go straight to
no.
the fire.
You can have a
Immediately.
little fake
I don't want the fake fire.
Well then, no fire.
Real fire.
No fire.
So we have that, and then the 31st is Reformation Sunday, where Regina Baker will be reading from their German Bible, the lessons for the day, and I'm told that that's a tradition that's been done here at St. Paul's, so.
And the German Bible.
Has been refurbished.
Yep. And they
So-
were able to use the original
The original cover,
cover,
Yep.
which was wood from what year again?
1788.
1788.
Yep.
That's so cool.
The woman who did Sarah, who did the work on it, was so excited that we were going to be using it. She's like, I can't believe you're going to use it. I'm like, yeah, why would I get it redone if we're not?
We could just let it sit there.
And we have somebody who can actually speak German, so we don't have to stumble through it ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. And Regina was very excited to be able to want to do that. So
Yay.
pretty
Yay.
psyched.
So that's the 31st.
That's the 31st and New Member Sunday.
And New Member Sunday.
So
So
we-
many reasons to come to church that
We
day.
we have 2 people right
or
now.
tune in at home,
Um,
which they're not tuning in. There's one person out there. Can you hear us? Are we talking to ourselves?
blah, 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 blah.
I'm going to share with the friends.
So yeah, if you're out there and you're interested in finding a church family, come see us at St. Paul's. We'd be more than happy to welcome you.
Plenty of room.
Yeah. November 7th is All Saints Sunday, where we will remember those who have gone before us this past year. So if you have someone in your life, it doesn't have to be a member of the church, who has entered the church triumphant this past year, give the church office a call and we'll add them to our remembrance. And then on the 14th,
He's got all the announcements today.
I got him in my head again.
Yeah, he does.
The 14th, we have our 80th anniversary of the commemoration of military folks serving in St. Paul's. So if you're current, retired, whatever, we'd love for you to be recognized by us, get your name into the office, or come on the 14th and you will be recognized. Did I miss anything?
The 14th of November, not today.
Yeah, 14th of November.
If you show up today, you'll be
Come-
recognized.
I'll
You're gonna
recognize
be-
you.
Yeah, we'll recognize you or not. And yeah. Anywho,
I think that's,
That's
for
a-
now.
we're into that busy season again. It kind of feels,
Chris Kindle Mart on the 4th of December,
yeah.
but
I'm not ready to talk about December yet.
I'm not talking about that.
we're not getting that far yet.
No,
No,
Okay.
it's a stretch.
so that's too.
Well, I just figured, whatever.
It's too.
It's in my head.
We're not far from the 30s. So keep that in mind.
The 30s.
I like-
Temperature-wise.
I
Oh,
like
was
the
like
coolness.
we've got 9 more years.
23 skidoo. That might be a little
I
earlier.
was like, what are we talking about? Anywho,
So did we find out who we have with
Nope.
us today?
I accidentally got out of the thing. Okay, so now we have 3 people out there with us, but
Did-
no comments yet. So
Do they hear us?
I don't know.
It'll be all right.
They don't want to say.
So today we're.
I guess if they're still there, they can hear us.
let's hope so.
If they leave, okay, wink once if you can hear us.
So
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
So today we're going to talk about the social statement on genetics, faith, and responsibility. And Russ is going to lead us today,
Yeah, more or less.
more or less. And Diane says the sound is good.
Yes, I just saw that.
Yay,
comment. So,
Diane.
yay.
Hi, Rob.
But yeah, so we're gonna kind of buzz through this one a little bit instead of going through page by page.
Because we decided that the summary was no good.
Yeah, the summary was more of an executive paper. It would have been probably to the bishop of the time to lay out what they were doing in the social statement. So it was more something of the planning,
Yeah, wasn't great. It
Not-
wasn't great.
yeah.
So we're going with the actual document.
which,
Is 35 pages long,
yeah,
plus the
35,
glossary.
plus the additional stuff,
Plus all
which
the
you can find.
resources.
It is posted on our website, and it is posted on the ELCA website. So if you want to read, and also, which I didn't bring over today, Joanne made a binder of all of the social statements, which will be available. We have to find a spot for it in the library.
Yep, we're
So-
gonna put it over in the library.
Yep.
Just because we're gonna also be talking about these social statements
And faith formation.
in faith formation on Sunday mornings, and if you don't have access to the computer, we've printed some out.
Yep.
Yay, thank you, Joanne.
And they're tabbed and highlighted, and so they're easy to find.
Nice.
So far, I think just the ones we've covered so far.
No, she did them all.
She did them all of them.
So you can read ahead.
Excellent, excellent.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Take it away, Russ.
Okay. So just sort of burning through the first prologue here. Genetic science includes a range of disciplines that deal with biologically based characteristics and their inheritance. So it covers a lot of different areas, and one of the main things that they get into is they're not putting out specific items that they're going to comment on. They're commenting on the overall
Yeah,
issue.
and throughout the document, it kind of, which surprised me a little bit, was it threw it back on bishops, teachers, pastors, et cetera, to be knowledgeable of the genetic, trends and be learned. I think learned was used several times in the document about what this means. And I think, one of the overarching statements was that this could be good for some, and for some it's not.
Right, and it's changing all the time. You see stuff come up every day that's new, and you're like, wow, they can do that. Well, should they do that? So that's where they don't want to give a broad statement, because some of these things are awesome, and then some of them maybe not.
Right.
But they don't want to be specific because the technology and the innovation is moving so quickly. By the time, if they were very specific and had it approved, they would be on to the next thing before. So it's general for all of that science, technology, which I kind of liked about the statement, that it kept it general
and then
and applying to most sciences.
How they related it back was that God is constantly creating, so it puts it on us as humans to be the good steward of creation and to foster things that are going to make life better for the earth, not just for humans, but for everything.
Right, and they do get into that where contemporary knowledge, where we can literally change the planet, we can change the inhabitants, not just us. Human beings, all that stuff can be changed relatively easily with some of these things.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of responsibility there, and they talk about the moral burden that we have to make sure whatever we're doing, there aren't unintended consequences that could wreck the entire planet.
Yeah, in effect, we're responsible for all of these future generations.
Right, and not just the people.
Well, that's part of what this document says too, is that there's a responsibility from all of us to, yes, it might in the short term be good, but in the long term could be devastating. So we as the human stewards of God's creation need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to be faithful to that creation as it perpetuates.
Right, and getting back to sort of the biblical part of it, the ELCA believes that God has endowed human beings with insight and reasoning, and calls for us to help order and shape, nurture, and promote the creation so that it may continue to flourish. So mistakes that have been made in the past, maybe through some of this technology, we can fix it. So if you look at some of the Superfund sites and things like that, where you know, they've poisoned the earth. Well, with technology and different things, maybe we can fix that and get it back to, you know, where it should have been in the first place. Let's see what else we got here. We could probably jump ahead, unless you guys have something in there.
I don't know exactly which page it was on now that I'm looking at it, but it basically was saying that there doesn't have to be a division between science and theology, that you know, because you believe in science doesn't negate your faith.
Right.
That those two should talk to each other. You know, they don't cancel each other out. They should work together. And I
Right,
don't know what page it is.
because the scientific knowledge and abilities in that are a gift.
Are a gift, yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, we can jump to page 4. And they've got it broken down as far as what the different genetic things are, where they have molecular medicine, and that's, you know, stem cell research, genetic therapy, the human genome,
Genomes and mapping.
that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, especially with that molecular, what is it, medicine and stuff, it's, you know, you look at what we are looking to do, how we are looking to do it, why we are looking to do it, and is it faithful to creation? That's, I think, the basis for where we are in there.
Right, and because there's a lot of moral issues involved with that, especially when you get into stem cells, because there's different ways
To arrive at that.
to do that, where some are comfortable with one way and maybe not another, and so there's a lot of things to take into account, and that's another reason why they don't want to make a blanket statement about everything.
Right.
And also the longevity of human life, like
I mean, how far are we going to
How
perpetuate
far?
human life? I mean, yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's the big thing. You know, human life was never set to be something that was going to last forever. It would, there's a finitude or finalitude to it where, yes, life ends.
well, and how does that relate to the kingdom eternal? If we were to continue to that's a different discussion probably,
Yeah. But I think you know, in that discussion you look at to where, you know, is there a disparity in, because I have umpteen million, thousand, $100 trillion that I can live forever because I keep, and I'm down here on the lower end of the spectrum, and I don't have enough money to pay for my flu shot, or you know what I'm saying. There's the disparity that we need to bring back together so that we are faithful to everyone.
And that's one of the things they go into, where how you discern if this is something you should go forward with or not. Does it help everyone? Is
Right.
it discriminatory? Is it, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of sci-fi movies out there with all the rich people live forever and look all great, and everybody else is, you know, dropping like flies,
Right.
you know, and that's a real thing to keep into consideration. And then they have the procreative activities, so prenatal testing, screening, assisted reproductive technologies, and artificial creation of new life forms. So
Cloning.
that's one of those things where, you know, they can do surgeries on children in the womb and fix defects and things like that.
Right.
You know, that's great. But if you're going to create a new life form, maybe not so much.
Well,
Well-
unless you're talking about like if you are able to say
Artificial
grow,
insemination.
Well, no, I was thinking about, you know, as an adult, you know, organ transplants, if you can generate cells and
Right.
organs outside of, you know, harvesting them from a human that's no longer alive versus growing them in a lab
Mm-hmm.
or skin cell, you know, for
Right.
grafts
For
and things like
grafts,
that.
yeah.
Which I think is already being done.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Skin grafts and things are already being.
And I know they can grow some livers, or like livers and a couple other things, sort of
some
from
organs
scratch,
that
so it's
already
kinda
go ahead and
crazy.
like reproduce anyway. They're able to do it faster. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
where you have to be more learned.
I do, and I'm not.
And that gets into the cloning also.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of interesting, where they're not fans of cloning, the ELCA, but if it happens, because obviously you don't have any control over everything, if there are actual people cloned and they're viable, then we welcome them in like we would anyone else.
Yeah, and I don't know. I linked an article on Facebook called "A Moral Imperative." It was a Living Lutheran article from 2019, and they were kind of discussing that because there are a set of twins, I guess, that were born or grown. I'm not sure what the right terminology is there to not offend.
Right.
But
I wasn't aware of that. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah. I
To
think
become
it was
more
on the-
learned.
Huh? To become more learned, yes. To become more learned. Okay, so that was just two of the areas. What's the next one we got?
So then we get into genetic engineering and agriculture. So engineering seeds, plants, animals, and farming with a pH.
Farming with a pH, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where if you destroy the original items,
The base.
you can't get those back. But if you could engineer something that can feed the world, and
Yeah,
help
say it's that
people.
balance of promise and peril that they're talking
Right.
about. That,
Right.
it's like, yeah, you could,
Does this destroy one thing to make another? And
or is it to, as Russ was saying, fix a problem that we have already brought upon ourselves in those food deserts, and they can, grow crops in areas that before
typically couldn't.
weren't
Right.
able to.
Right.
So, again, it's a balance.
Right. And then general commercial and legal applications, including DNA testing for employment, health insurance identification, identifying victims after disasters, and patenting of genetic material and research processes.
Yeah, I was a little bit on this section. I was like, yeah, okay, I can get identifying, but then I was like, wait a minute, DNA
Yeah, I'm not
testing
sure
for
what that is.
employment and health insurance. I feel like that can very quickly become discriminatory.
Well, especially with health insurance, they would say,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, you have,
You
Your
have the
pre-existing
pre-existing
No,
or
it's not pre-existing. It's
I know
what's
the word.
What's the word? Someone help us out there. When you already have
You have a
the gene
predilection.
It's like
for Alzheimer's or something.
predisposition for,"
Predisposition,
whatever.
yeah, predisposed,
Right.
something.
Mhm.
they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"We know that's going to happen." So
It's not a pre-existing condition,
We
but you
can't
have
cover
a
you
chance
because
of it.
we know that you're
so-
going to have cancer down the road.
Right.
right. So
Yeah.
So
just-
that's super sketch to me.
it is. There's scary things there.
Scary things there.
But also, when you get into, I don't know if that's the one that's got criminal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
So if you're
Criminal
how
investigations.
many crimes have been solved based on DNA evidence?
A lot.
Right.
And people have been exonerated because of that.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Just like everything else, the good and the bad.
The good and the bad. The good and the bad. Again, this next one though, then
Yeah, military use,
Yeah,
military
biological
use.
weapons.
I was like,
and-
ooh.
yeah. I don't know if anybody's on board with biological weapons, but
I'm not.
it's an area.
Yeah, I mean, or are they researching to counteract
For antidotes.
that are, I mean, because with their biological weapons, we've got going back for
Well, you have ricin, you have
80
that kind
years
of stuff,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Mustard gas.
Those
way
still
back
need to
when.
be studied to be able to
Figure out how to
figure out
counteract
how to
them.
counteract that,
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah,
but still scary stuff.
absolutely. And then social impact, including discrimination based on genetic profiling and eugenics. So, using it to
Make the perfect kid.
or to weed out a certain group that you don't really care for.
Yeah, all of
Yeah.
that's a little, yeah,
Kind of like the
as you
Stepford
step
wives.
getting through these things, you're like, ooh, like, yeah, I'm on board with that. Let's feed the world and cure cancer. And then it's like, oh, ooh, we're
Yeah,
getting
that's
into
icky.
some yucky stuff.
Yeah.
But
So-
yeah,
Right. So as they say, you can look at all these things and you can see that the knowledge is both promise and peril.
Hmm.
And
I stole that earlier,
yeah,
you did. That was
Sorry.
good.
but it was really good. I mean, it is. There's so much.
right. And we also have to realize that all these things are global.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
something that happens in one place affects everywhere else in the world. So it's not just, well, what if we just do our little genetic thing here? It won't hurt anybody. Well, that stuff doesn't stay there.
Yeah, at some point it's going to get out.
I
Right.
feel like we've maybe lived through something like that.
We probably have.
Yep, it's possible.
I don't know. I got a shot.
Well, good. Global village. I liked that term that they used, and then I was reading a commentary that was like, back if something happened in, say, 1500 in Martin Luther's time, it wouldn't have gotten around the world very quickly.
Well-
Now, anything happens,
It
in
could
anybody's
be somewhere,
kitchen,
somewhere. yeah.
everybody in the world knows immediately.
Right.
Not in my kitchen.
Not in your kitchen, but I'm just saying.
All
The-
right.
Those discoveries are more widely shared and then inspire people to go further.
Sure.
Absolutely. So I think we're going to jump to page 28, unless you guys have anything prior to that.
No, like I said, I think most of this document kind of goes piece by piece, affirming, how we are to live faithfully in our vocation. So our jobs are how we do things in stewardship to the greater good of the earth. I think that's really what a lot of this drives to.
Right.
Yeah, the section 4 that starts on like page 14, but really the part I liked was the justice part of it, where it kind of harkened back to a filter of how you make decisions and discern all of the stuff that's coming into you. Ask those questions that we asked when we were talking about the care creation statement. Is it sufficient? Is it sustainable? And then they add solidarity. Is it good for everybody? Not just humans, but
for
for
everything.
all of creation.
Right.
And there was another one. Oh, participation. Again,
Yeah, and
recognizing the community of life.
Right. It's just like a lot of the other ones where you really need to hear from everyone so that everyone has some skin in the game. If we're only thinking about North America, there's a whole lot of world out there besides
There's
that.
a whole lot of world
That
out
what
there.
we do affects them also, so we should take that into consideration.
Right.
And just before that, it talked about how sin, pride, and complacency
Yeah.
pervade this. And what it says, this, our human sin portrays the failure of human beings to live out our human vocation under God, because it presents sin as disobedience rooted in a lack of trust and faith in God. And then it manifests itself in excessive pride. So if I'm able to do this, or I can do this to make myself better, then where does that leave you or you?
Right.
And
Right.
that's something that, again, we talked that throughout this whole document, it's stewarding everybody and not just one.
How can it better my situation, but how can it better everyone's situation?
Right.
Right. And also, just because I can do this, should I do this?
Yeah, that harkens back to
True.
Jurassic Park. Just
Right.
because we could.
Right.
Did anybody ask
And we
if
saw
we
how
should?
that went.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Giant
And
dinosaurs.
I also liked the wisdom part on page 26. We're going to get to your page 28, I
Oh, that's
promise.
fine.
But it was the knowledge of experts. I think that was a really important part because, you know, Pastor Phil here does admit that he's not the most learned on this subject. So
or many subjects.
So we need to seek out experts in whatever that field is.
Yeah.
Right, and don't
or
use your
that-
internet muscles where I Googled this, or I saw something on Facebook
Well-
and, you know,
And I think,
Uncle Jimmy.
We'll dig a little deeper and
You know,
find
right.
an expert in that field.
well, and I think it's a little, especially if you think about this past year and a half, it's been a little difficult for us to understand who the true experts
Who
are.
the experts are.
You know,
Yes,
who is it that
there's
really
that.
has that knowledge base, and who is it that's not trying to promote themselves or a particular thing to get to the end game? I think that's really what I think
I
for
like
us.
this sentence right here.
Okay.
It
cut me
also
off.
requires learning how to critically assess and employ their input.
Yeah,
Critically assess.
and I think that, you know, in this day and age of 24-hour bombardment of whatever, you know, we and I think that goes back to the complacency piece where I don't know about it, I don't care, I'll just whatever. And that's really not how I am. I would like to learn, I would like to think, you know, but I think it's just challenging when we're
It's
trying
that
to
promise and peril again.
yeah, the promise and peril, you know, who, you know, where are we and what is, you know, what's, I think a lot of us are kind of cynical these days where we're just, you know, really? That's,
Really?
Not with any good reason.
Oh, sorry. Did I say that with sarcasm out loud? I apologize.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think for us, you know, but for us, these challenging times cause us to have that discernment, to have to listen to a variety of different inputs to kind of separate out the wheat from the chaff and get the real information. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's the hard thing for
Right.
us these
Well,
days.
the good thing about this is, for the most part, the people you're going to look for that are experts are actual scientists who have done work necessarily. So that should be easy to corroborate. This person is a real scientist who has worked in this. And then you could look, you know, I'm sure there's different views on each side.
To his or her motive. I mean, because,
Right.
you know, the science could be there and proven, but then I need to critically assess, is that good for
Right.
humanity? Is
Right.
that good for creation? Is that something that's sustainable and not going to adversely affect future generations?
Right.
So, I mean, I was going to say something. Never mind. I won't. Some people call themselves scientists and aren't.
Well, that's
Right.
and that's the
are
thing.
not maybe on the same moral level as what I would consider.
And I think that's where I struggle to find, you know, are you morally giving me the information that is truly rooted in the science, or are you
What's
trying
your
to
motivation?
are you trying to serve some other?
Right. And most of the time, there's science to read out there that's been
Absolutely.
that's been
Yeah.
peer reviewed and everything like that you can look at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. You just have to do it.
Right. And that's the hard part because I've
Just
read
have
some of
to do
those
it.
things and they're kind of hard.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Speaking of hard, did we mention there's a glossary to this document? So when you start hearing words or reading words as you're going through it yourself, I think I don't know, 7 or 8 pages at the end of this document, glossary. And they're
Terms
great
and
definitions that help
resources
you
Yep.
understand because it is a hard topic.
Yeah, and it's one that, you know, at my level, I don't know that I'll ever understand it. You know, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you have to go too deep.
No, but you know,
have to do
And
the work.
work
I
the
know,
CRISPR by yourself
know,
or anything.
and probably should have done more. You know, because I know at one time, Sue's dad was exploring stem cell research to help his, you know, muscle disease,
Right.
and there are implications for that. So it's
There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn,
yes.
and it all, like you said, is personal. Like, you're going to find how that research, how that technology can benefit.
Right, and it might
What you're
work for
going
me, and it
through.
might not work for you or you.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. On to page 28. That's where Russ wants
Russ's
to go.
favorite page.
Well,
Hey.
it's got bullet points, which is everybody's
Yes, it
favorite.
makes things easier.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the wrap up, the general convictions. So this is sort of
So what the church advocates and what the church does not.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty straightforward.
Do we want to
Um,
just read those off, you think?
Sure, feel free.
Oh, do we want to take turns?
Why
Nobody wants
not?
to just listen to me. Okay, I'll go
You can
first.
start.
Advocate for genetic research and discovery that advance the good of the present generation and those to come
So we're thinking down the road.
down the road.
Affirm the good of genetic technologies and economic enterprises that enable the community of life to flourish, which is what we've talked about most of the day.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody.
How do we steward God's creation?
Mm-hmm.
So encourage varieties of research aimed at improving human health and well-being. So pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that was easy. Give priority to global health issues and needs, particularly those which may benefit by genetic research, even when the economic return is small. So even though somebody's going to pay for your designer baby, maybe we could use that power to, I don't know, feed the country.
Well, and that's one of the things that none of these things, if the whole reason for doing these things are economic, then that puts it in the no category.
That's right. That's
It's a
right.
no.
Right. Maximize the use of medical genetic information to improve care without succumbing to discrimination or the abuse of privacy. Yeah.
So you signed up for, the ancestry thing, and then you happen to be somewhere and you see somebody who looks just like you, identical, in fact. That's what you don't want.
Russ's doppelganger.
They cloned you from your DNA.
23andMe told me I had no DNA after 2 tries, so I guess I'm just not supposed.
Is that your problem?
I don't know what I am.
We figured it out.
Weird. Anyway,
Let's
Where are
see
we at?
Affirm quality
Affirm
quality of
quality
life.
human life
Yep.
improvement with reasonable life extension without expecting or seeking perfection. Insofar as such research does not lead to unjust and disproportionately biased use of limited human and financial resources. So we're not trying to live forever. We're trying to improve the quality of life,
Mhm.
not necessarily the extent of it.
right.
Right.
Encourage the development of genetic means to aid reversal of past human abuse of the environment without harming the future.
Yep, and we talked
The
about
undo button.
The undo
Yep.
button. Redo.
Redo. Not redo.
Promote greater dialogue, understanding, cooperation among organic and conventional farmers to solve production issues and lessen tensions.
that. All right, so
There's a lot of that.
yeah, and there's, one of the things they went into with that is there may be a conventional solution to the problem. You don't immediately have to go to genetically modifying things, and to
Right.
make sure that we go down those roads as well.
Before we start
Right.
slicing and dicing.
So
Mhm.
implement long-term ecological, social, economic impact assessment in regulatory protocols around genetic research. Oh, sorry.
And
I dozed off there for a minute.
yeah. And encourage that, we're just going to skip over. Encourage the development of means to enable marginalized voices to be heard in public policy debates, which again is something we've heard through all of these social statements, is making sure
Everyone has a voice.
Right.
everyone has a voice.
Yep. And then everything is for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So likewise, this church rejects beliefs, goals, and policies that rely upon or encourage fatalism and genetic determinism.
That perfect baby
Yep. It's okay to not be perfect.
is okay.
And the use of genetic knowledge or technology to create unsustainable practices or states of perfection, which we talked about already.
rejects the use of genetic information for discrimination in employment, healthcare, or insurance coverage. Yeah, because that's just
Yeah, where we
all
talked about it. If
yucky.
they're able to know if you have this condition, that condition, the other condition, then I can find some way to reject your bid for insurance.
Or even if you don't have it, it's that whole nature nurture thing. I mean,
Right.
what are the, you're doing things to counteract high blood pressure, but you're predisposed, you have a genetic,
Right.
to
Diabetes, the
whatever.
same thing,
well, you can't get that job, or you
Right,
can't get
right.
that coverage.
yeah.
Right.
Very yucky, but a very thin line of where
Yep.
where it's okay, where it's not.
Use personal genetic information without consent. I think we would
Also
all,
more yucky.
yeah, I think we would all agree that
I think
we
so.
want to keep stuff private.
Yeah.
Right. And then the last couple ones here we just talked about is about endangering human bodies for the sake of economic gain or social power, and then also, the eugenics and institutional or ideological programs like that. So
Mhm.
the
Yep.
really bad stuff. That's what they
Yep.
don't
The
want
really
us to
bad stuff.
do.
If you think it's yucky or in a horror film, probably
Probably not
no
good.
bueno.
Yeah, if
on
you've
that.
seen many films with the same
Yeah.
subtext in it.
Right.
Right. And then ELCA is also has searching questions about goals and policies that it's kind of the same thing. It's the opposite of what we just talked about. Anything that's going down those roads is a no.
Yeah.
And we should always be looking at them and discerning if that's the direction they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's basically saying that they oppose anything that's going to be detrimental to God's creation.
Right.
We as humans have a responsibility to use our God-given gifts to explore those realities and figure out the best course forward for creation.
Right, and they've got a great quote in here from Ecclesiastes that I really liked. In much wisdom is both vexation and satisfaction, and those who increase knowledge increase both sorrow and possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it is. It's a double-edged sword, and you got to make sure you're using the right side
For the right thing
for the right thing
Yep.
at the right time.
at the right time.
Yeah.
Yep, and I think that for the most part really sums up this social statement. It really
we
does.
can say this one word. There's a word that they use. I cannot
Oh, yeah.
pronounce it.
Koinonia.
Coin.
I knew you had that one, Phil.
Did you look up the saying?
No,
the
because I had a
pronunciation?
camp in my hometown that was called Koinonia.
Oh, well, there you go.
And it's spelled K-O-I, N-O-I-A, but pronounced C-O-Y, whatever it says in the
Anyway, they use that
Koinonia.
word a lot.
Koinonia.
Koinonia.
It's-
Koinonia.
Yes, it's the congregation of life together.
Yeah. So it's a concept, basically,
Right.
of just
It's a
Being
way-
in community,
Being
being
in
in
community.
congregation, being,
and don't
And-
do something to mess it up.
right, exactly correct.
You got to keep your koinonia together.
Keep your koinonia together. So we got serve,
Love
and keep your
everyone.
koinonia together.
Everybody loves
Everybody loves everybody.
Everybody loves everybody. Oh, yeah.
And,
And
we got to make sure that we are not trying to put ourselves out in front of this. We need to serve others and put others ahead of us.
oh,
Check. That feels like
you got
a
it
drop
that in
for
right
Sunday.
under the wire because we're like, we're done.
So there will
Hilarious.
be no gathered next week. No gather next week.
Right, they're out of
'Cause
town, and I'm not going to do
Russ
it by
is
myself.
out of town and Belinda's chicken to do it by herself. So.
I mean,
No solo mission.
But the
No
other
solo mission.
thing too is that we are going through the social statements as well for adult faith formation.
Yep,
Yeah.
on Sundays.
So if you're not able to make it with us on Thursday, then certainly
Or you're
join
getting
us.
the replay and you have questions.
Yeah, and if after you look at it you have questions, come to adult faith formation. We're trying to catch up to where we were. So with us taking a week off, we should put ourselves pretty much right back, because the plan is to talk on Sunday on what we talked about on Thursday.
Yeah.
Cool?
Right, and we got some pretty heavy ones coming up yet too.
Yep.
So.
Yep, we do.
So do we have a plan for the 28th
I
then?
haven't looked at it yet, what we
So
want to
to
do.
be determined as to what that heavy topic
TBD.
will be.
Trust me, it will be a heavy topic.
It will be a heavy topic.
Yes,
Let's
for
see, we've
sure.
got, the ones left are criminal justice, death penalty, race, ethnicity, and culture,
Yep.
and sexism.
Yep.
Mhm.
Isn't sexism a message?
Nope.
Nope.
Because I don't have that one.
Oh, well, let's see. It was adopted in 2019, and a study guide is supposed to be coming out later this year.
I'll have to look at that
You'll
one.
have to look
Right,
at
and
that one.
I did notice that with the statements, they have one that just came out this year for government too. So if you're,
Well, we'll
or
have to add that to
that's-
the
Oh,
list.
for the messaging,
or
or
excuse
for
me,
the?
the messages.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
oh.
messages. yeah.
not the statement, the messages. So they are frequently updating things
Yep.
that are pertinent to today.
So kind of along the lines of what we are doing, that would, I think, probably put sexism as the next one.
Sexism?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well then,
Alrighty.
sexism on the 28th. And you can find all of these statements and study guides and a ton of resources, more than really, we just scratched the surface
We do.
of all
Right.
of these.
Right.
ELCA.org. Look it up.
See
they're
you
very
Sunday.
easy.
All right.
And